I'll be with you shortly. Just got to get slightly organized. If you're watching on Instagram, fine, I'll be with you very shortly. If you are, oh, it's a bit fuzzy, isn't it? That's a bit fuzzy. So just to break the thing, I've got to turn off and turn on again on YouTube and Facebook. Because it's a bit fuzzy, I might do it on Instagram too. So just bear with me. I'll be back in 2 seconds. I just got to get slightly organized here. Meditation's coming very soon. Live streaming. It's always a bit chaotic, isn't it? Certainly when I do it. Okay, so I'm going to turn off and turn on again. I'll be back very shortly, as I say. Meditation's coming very shortly. Thanks for bearing with me. The wind is blowing like crazy here in Ireland. Gale force. I don't know if it's gale force, but it's pretty windy. Meditation's coming very shortly. Okay, up and running. Great. How are you? You well? Day going good? It's alright if it's not, but I hope it is. That's what I wish for you. We're going to do a bit of meditation. It's not a class, it's just a chance to meditate together. These daily meditations are part of the further emergence work I do. I'll explain what further emergence is when we're finished the meditation. But for now, if you're an experienced meditator, if you're used to meditating, that's brilliant. Can you hang on for a minute while I explain what I do, just for the benefit of people who are new to meditation? There's lots of different styles of meditation. This is what I do. For me, it starts with why I would meditate. I'm trying to connect to a part of me that I connect to every night when I'm asleep. Not the dreaming bit, the bit after dreaming. So I'm dreaming and then I drop out the bottom of dreaming into deep dreamless sleep, where I have no thoughts, no memories, no emotions, no feelings, no personality. I don't even have a body, I don't have a house, I don't have a country, nothing. I don't even have me. I cease to exist. Certainly in the way that I normally register that I'm existing. Which, I mean, that sounds awful, doesn't it? That sounds like death. Yet, I love going to sleep, and when I wake up in the morning, I feel refreshed. So some part of me knows that that is a good place that I go to, and that's where I want to go to when I'm meditating. I just want to do it consciously. So if you're new to meditation, don't try this lying down because you'll fall asleep. And if you don't fall asleep, you'll battle sleep, both of which are kind of contrary to where you're heading with this. So as I say, my mind can't seem to get to this place. It's almost like it's a place that my mind has to wait outside while I go to. So I have to make an arrangement with my mind. I have to figure out some way of working with my mind so that I can get to this place that I want to go to. So I just make an arrangement where I say, can you just stop thinking for the next 15 minutes, please? Because we want to meditate. Now, at this stage, my mind is on board with the whole thing. It's like, yep, okay, done this before, that's no problem. So that's good. Having a mind on board is very helpful. And then to stop thinking, that's relatively easy, because regardless of what I'm thinking about, which would be the content of my thoughts, the structure of my thoughts is always the same. It's always pictures and sound. So if I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound, that's it. I'm not thinking. And as soon as I do that, I'm into the practice of meditation. Now, the practice of meditation runs parallel with the intention of meditation. So I've already said my intention. My intention is to go to this deep, still, profound, possibly eternal, Zen-like, I'm just trying to think of all the other words that are used to describe meditation. That place, that's my intention. The practice runs parallel with it, and it starts as soon as I stop thinking, and it pretty much goes, I turn off the pictures, I turn off the sound, so I bring myself to not thinking. Then some time will pass and I'll discover I'm thinking. So I go, oh, okay, I'm thinking. So I turn off the pictures, I turn off the sound, I bring myself back, I'm thinking again. So I go, oh, I'm thinking again. So I turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, I bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time will pass, I'll discover I'm thinking again. So I go, oh, I'm thinking, not thinking again. So I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound, and I bring myself back to not thinking. That's the process of the practice of meditation. Repeatedly bringing myself back to not thinking whenever I discover that I'm thinking. And it's important to know that because it's easy to get the idea that to meditate correctly you shouldn't be thinking at all, which isn't the case. It sort of goes back and forth. These two things kind of do a little dance together. Sometimes you'll be very deep and still and it'll be very profound. Other times you'll be discovering that you're thinking, and both are powerful. It's kind of obviously powerful when you are in that deep, still, silent place. That you can feel that in your body, nervous system changes, everything settles. It's also very powerful when you're discovering that you're thinking, but maybe it's not so obvious, the power side of it. Because what happens is, if you're like me, the sort of things that you think about are all to do with you. So I'll be thinking, what am I going to do about that thing? Why did I say that to that person? Why did that person say that to me? And so on. So let's say I'm meditating and I'm having one of those kind of thoughts, and then I go, oh, I'm thinking, right? So turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Indirectly, what I'm saying to myself is, or what I'm demonstrating to myself is, you know that thought that you just had? The one that you thought was you and that you were it? Well, you just made that disappear. You just made it vanish. So you're not that thought. In fact, you're not any of your thoughts. You're something else. That's very powerful. And the fact that you do it repeatedly, that's very powerful as well. So the main thing is, don't add to your thinking by thinking that you're thinking too much, or that you're doing it wrong in some way. If every time you discover you're thinking that you bring yourself back to not thinking, you'll be doing fine. There's no right amount of times that should happen. Sometimes it'll be more, sometimes it'll be less. Now, while I'm doing all that, I'm also letting go of tension in my body. So I'm scanning my body from my head down to my feet and back up again, and anywhere I find tension, I'm letting it go. And I'm using my out breath to let it go, because it's natural to do that. It's natural to just kind of breathe it away, but it's also a good way of bringing my awareness to my breathing, because it's quite easy to stop breathing during meditation, or to hold your breath. So using my out breath is just a good way of becoming more aware of that. The other thing I do is, as I'm scanning my body up and down, I'm just paying a little bit more attention to areas or structures in my body that go across my body. Mostly my body runs longitudinally, head to toe. Anywhere that goes across operates a little bit like a log in a stream, going across a stream. It just has it can pick up all the leaves and the twigs and the branches that come down the stream, except in my body it's tension. So I'm paying a little bit more attention to my eyes, my mouth and my jaw, my tongue and my jaw, the base of my neck, my shoulder girdle, all my joints, so because they're all transverse sides as well, so shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers, my heart area, my respiratory diaphragm, all my intestines, my pelvic floor, my hips, my knees, my ankles, and my toes. Having a nice quiet room is very helpful when you're starting out meditation, because one of the things that triggers thoughts is noises, and as soon as you close your eyes, your hearing is going to amplify. So the quieter the room, less you're disturbed, the better. And then the other thing I do to help my mind is I set a timer for how long I'm going to meditate for. So I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. But if you're new to meditation, I'd encourage you to set yours for shorter. I'd encourage you to set it for like 5 minutes and then repeat that 3 times. Because 15 minutes is a long time if you're not used to it. Okay, so let me just check. Is there any questions? Nope. All right, let's go then. Off we go into the mystery. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm still coming through or what's happening. I'm not sure what's going on. I think I might be still coming through. Okay, sorry to bring it to an end like that. But when I opened my eyes, all the screens were blank. All right, so I'm assuming you've opened your eyes at this stage. As I said at the beginning, these daily meditations are part of the further emergence work I do. Further emergence is to do with growth, specifically inner growth, growth in consciousness, growth in awareness, you could say spiritual growth. And when you're growing as a child, you know, your body is growing, it grows, you become an adolescent, and then you become an adult, and at that point your body stops growing and it switches into maintenance and replication, if you like. But you keep growing on the inside. That doesn't stop. You only have to think back, 10 years ago to who you were 10 years ago, and it's really obvious that you keep growing. And just like when you were a child, you might have gone through periods of accelerated growth. They're like known as growth spurts. That goes on inside as well. You can, as you're growing on the inside, you can go through periods of accelerated growth or inner growth spurts. And they can be like, just like when you had growing pains as a kid, they can be painful, they can be difficult. But when you were a kid and you had growing pains, you weren't brought to the hospital or you weren't brought to the doctor because your parents would have known, oh, that's just growing pains, that's natural. It's a little harder to be confident that that's what's happening when you're going through inner growth spurts. There's a space there to feel like, no, there's something wrong. There's definitely something wrong with me. So further emergence focuses on that bit, the bit where you're going through an accelerated period of growth inside, or a growth spurt on the inside, and to help you sort of come back to, yeah, it's natural, it's okay. And because it manifests in lots of different ways. It can manifest as a feeling of speeding up. You can just feel yourself things going faster on the inside. You can feel like you don't fit in your life anymore. Your life is different to the way it was before, and you don't fit in it anymore. You don't recognize it. Everybody used to get you, now no one gets you. You don't really get anybody either as well. So it can feel quite lonely. You can have physical symptoms and lots of other things as well. So I've been through it myself many times, and I've helped a lot of people through it as well. So these daily meditations are part of how I help with further emergence, or it's more support really, an offer of support, because the more familiar you are with your inner space, the easier it is to navigate these changes, these accelerations. Then there's a Zoom group every week on Fridays, so this week's one will be starting in about 50 minutes. And they are open to anyone. The link for the Zoom call is on the website, furtheremergence.com. Just look for Zoom groups, you'll find the Zoom link. You're very welcome to come. And if you're not sure what they're like, you can have a look at the videos, whatever channel you're looking at this on, you can have a look at the videos of it. Or you could, the audio from those Zoom groups that's what go to make up the podcast, so you could listen to them either. Then I work with people one-to-one as well. I do that twice a week. And that's a combination of talking and talking it through. And then there's a period where I do energetic distance work on their system as well. And that comes from my years of experience as a craniosacral therapist. So that's another thing. Then I've got books. I've got 4 books, all sort of around the subject of further emergence. So yeah, if you're still here, you've listened all the way, even with all the dropouts in the continuity of the stream. Maybe it's resonating with you. So maybe you want to follow along on the different channels. Maybe you want to come to the Zoom group. Maybe you want to listen to the podcast. Maybe you want to get in touch for some one-on-one work. Maybe you want to read some books. It's all there. It's all available for you. Okay, so thank